me preface this because most people would probably be shocked in hearing this because of the fact that some things are conservative. I am a business owner, but let me preface this by saying I am a lifelong registered Democrat. I did not vote for Donald Trump in 2016. Unfortunately, I voted for Hillary Clinton, which was probably in hindsight one of the dumbest things I've done. But I did vote for Donald Trump in 2020, and I will 1,000% vote for that man again in 2024. Now, this is what I've learned over the time and the reason why I am a registered Democrat my whole life is because that's what my parents were. That's what I thought I was supposed to be, right? That's how I was brought up. Just like many African Americans are brought up to be Democrats, right? Because of Lyndon B. Johnson, and I'll get into that. Probably one of the most racist presidents we've ever had. So, with that being said, I do not agree with a lot of stuff that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth and the way that it comes out. I'm not sitting here saying that I like Donald Trump as an individual, but his policies are some of the best of any president the United States has ever had.
Yeah.
And I know there's probably a lot of people on this call, especially in Georgia, a lot of all different ethnicities that are probably like, this motherfucker here. What did he just say? So the people that are calling Donald Trump a racist, and I'm going to say this loud and proud. I'm going to tell you right now, right here, Donald Trump is the farthest thing from a racist, probably the least racist president we've ever had. And now, again, I know there's a lot of people turning over in their chair right now, like, how did this guy just say this? Well, I said this because the media has fueled you to believe this. If you go back in history and look at Donald Trump before he ever decided to run for office, first and foremost, the man is a Democrat.
Yeah.
Always has been a Democrat, was registered a Democrat, ran for the Republican Party because the Democrats wouldn't let him run. Hillary Clinton was his best friend. There is numerous, thousands, hundreds of pictures of him and Hillary together. Reverend Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, gave this man more NAACP awards than any white man in the history of the country. Every single rapper who now says he's a racist has rapped about being in the Trump Towers. And we're all his friends, Jay-Z, every single one of them. Yeah. As soon as that man decided to run for office and walk down the escalator, all of a sudden the narrative was, just like the narrative now is, Kamala Harris is good. When you can look back at her videos, that's the problem with people in this country today. They have selective amnesia. They want to remember what they want to remember, and they can't remember a year ago, let alone 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And the media understands that. They understand that they can, as long as they push the next 100 days, this narrative that this person is good, that a lot of people who have been through the ringer the last 4 years will forget about it. So what I'm getting at is, if you look back in history, which is hard because we can get into that too, Google is just a war machine for the political parties. They censor pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Reverend Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton were some of Donald Trump's confidants and best friends. You'll see them hugging each other. You'll see them hanging out. Man's won more NAACP awards, like I've said, than anybody in American history. Because the man understands if everybody eats, he eats.
Gotcha.
He put Jennifer Hudson up in the Trump Towers in the night when her family and their house caught on fire and her family died, for 2 years rent-free. He also, if people do their research, had an African-American girlfriend from 97 to 99. I've dated all races, dated Asian. I've dated Spanish, and I've dated black women. And Chad, you know this about me.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to tell you right now, you cannot and will not date an African-American woman if you're racist.
That's right. You're right about
that again. You're not going to spend 2 years of your life with an African-American person if you're racist. Now, white people make African-American jokes. African-Americans make white jokes. Everybody makes Asian jokes. That is comedy. That is life. Now, it's the intent of that joke which will define if somebody is being disingenuous or just trying to make a joke, right? Just a joke of jokes. So what I'm saying is that this man stepped down the escalator, and every single person who was in his corner, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, all these people, now he's a racist. So what does that say about them? If he was a racist and you spent the whole 90s with this man, you mean to tell me as soon as he ran for office, all of a sudden you realize he's a racist? So then how am I supposed to trust you if you were hanging out with a known racist your entire life and giving him NAACP awards?
Right. That's crazy,
Okay?
man.
How does every rapper you can think of, how many rap songs can you think of that rapped about being in the Trump Tower?
That you
If
got
this
you,
man's a racist, why are you rapping about being in one of his buildings?
you got a point. You
So
got
the
points. You're making
media,
points.
and why I'm saying this is because you've seen more Hispanic and African Americans gravitate towards the conservative, towards the right side of the aisle, because they're starting to realize that the act that Lyndon B. Johnson signed in the 60s had nothing to do with advancing African Americans. It had everything to do with enslaving them and getting their vote for the history.
Right.
They didn't care about the civil rights. Lyndon B. Johnson is probably one of the most racist presidents this country's ever seen.
Mm, that's a good point. You're making.
Look back at his history. Look back at some of his videos. Look back at some of his writings. The man was an absolute 1000% racist. He signed the civil rights movement so he could own the black vote.
Dang, that's insane, bro.
Welfare, food stamps, all of that shit today is modern day slavery.
That makes
Now,
sense.
who, unfortunately, is the biggest recipient of those things? African Americans.
Yeah.
African American wages were the highest and unemployment was the lowest under Donald Trump. And again, I am going to preface this by saying I am not necessarily a supporter of Donald Trump.
Right.
But what I am a supporter of is facts. What I am a supporter of
Right.
is not letting mainstream media gaslight everybody, create a narrative, and sell divisiveness, which they've been doing for the last 4.5 years. And they've been doing it very well. Probably the best at their profession out of anybody I've seen in any profession, selling hatred and divisiveness.
Yeah.
So
Hold,
the
hold your
man
thought.
is